Good morning, everybody. My name is Mara. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm very honored. Nikki, thank you. That was absolutely beautiful. Choir, thank you. Everything has been so beautiful today. I am the Executive Director of the National Center for Transgender Equality, and I get to do public speaking a lot. Today I'm going to break two of the most important rules of public speaking. The first rule I'm going to break is they say you should always start with a joke, and I'm not gonna. Okay, that was the joke. And that was the backup joke. But the second rule, and the one that they tell you not to say, and I'm going to say it, is you should never say the words "you people" or "those people." But that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about you people and those people. Not really about you people and those people, but about saying you people and those people. Transgender people have been working for a long time. Our whole movement has been about inclusion, has been about being welcomed in places we didn't used to be welcome. In trying to make the world so that kids coming up now don't have to have the relatively, my childhood wasn't horrible by transgender standards, but I certainly was much lonelier and much more alone than I had to be. And our movement is about being included, and radical inclusion has always meant to us include us, and I think we need to start revisioning that a little bit. I tweeted something the other day. I did a little video for trans youth around the country. We're being attacked everywhere. We're being attacked in Congress. We're being attacked in Texas, in North Carolina, in Anchorage, Alaska. They're coming after us policy-wise. They're disrespecting transgender people. Violence is way up. And we at work just decided I would do a little video that said, hey, it's rough right now, but we have your back. A lot of people have your back. So I tweeted that, and somebody whose Twitter name was Deplorable Mike responded with a simple, "What's wrong with you people?" And I said, well, I tweeted, I guess you don't say, I tweeted back, general rule, when you use the words "you people," you shouldn't. And then I set about thinking to myself, oh, those people, those deplorable people. You people, Mike, you need to really think this through, and you people need to get better. And I think I need to think through that. I think all of us need to think what that means, and what does it mean? He has reclaimed the word deplorable. For those of you who don't know, Hillary Clinton referred to Trump supporters, said something like, about half of them are a basket of deplorables. They've reclaimed that. Some people have reclaimed that, including this deplorable Mike. They are deplorable in certain ways, as I am deplorable in certain ways, as we all are deplorable in certain ways. And I need to do better about that, about thinking who's deplorable and what that means, and thinking, particularly right now when it's so hard, policy and politically, for almost all of us have somebody to blame here. And you know what the truth is? We all did this. We all got us to the position we are right now in the United States, and we all broke America, and we all have to figure out how to fix it. No matter what happens in the next 3 years, or 3.5 years, we are all going to have to learn how to make America again. And it isn't going to be those people, or you people, or me people. It's going to be all of us. We all have to figure that out. We all did it. The first time I ever spoke in a church was at a Unitarian church in Boulder, Colorado. And my career at NCTE has been very full and very rewarding to me, and I'm very proud of it. But there are moments, there's a handful of moments that really stand out, and that day in that church really stood out for me. The Mosaic queer youth choir from Denver came and sang, and they sang the song that the chorus just sang, "How Could Anyone?" And these kids, there were like 30 of them, and they were amazing, and they had purple hair and red hair. When I was coming up, I'm 57 years old, when I was coming up, if you wanted to dye your hair, you had to buy hair-colored hair color, right? They had brown and blonde and black, and that was pretty much it. But now kids can just do whatever they want, and they can have all sorts of amazing colors. And these kids were beautiful, and some were a little older than others, and some were big, and some were small, and some looked so happy, and some looked so sad. And they were singing this song, "How Could Anyone?" And I started to cry, and I'll never know if it was because it was beautiful, or if it was because I was really angry, because I understood they were singing it as an anthem. They were singing it not accepting that everybody did believe they were beautiful, because we know that not everybody thinks they're beautiful, because the truth is not everybody thinks everybody is not beautiful to somebody in ways that I think we have to get better at. But what I also want to just remember from that day is I can look at a queer youth choir singing that song and I can say, yeah, they are beautiful, but I have to learn how to look at a young Republican group and say they're beautiful, how to look at a group of young immigrant kids on a bus traveling through Mexico, about to walk through the desert and say, oh my gosh, they're beautiful. That's who I'm fighting for. And a football team in suburban Maryland, that's the youth I'm fighting for. I need to do better about that. I need to think about who you people are and who my people are, because my people have to be for everybody. If I'm working for justice, as I hope to believe I am, I really need to believe in justice. And I don't like to be trite or cliche any more than I have to be, but it has to be justice. It can't be justice for just us. It has to be for everybody. It has to be for coal miners. It has to be for people who are suffering the ravages of HIV or an opioid addiction or just poverty. It has to be everybody. That's what justice is. It has to be Trump voters. I have to understand what Mr. Khizr Khan, our neighbor from Virginia, said at the Democratic National Convention last year, that Republicans are half of what's great about this beautiful country. I need to understand politically that you people are my people. Those people are my people. Everybody is my people. I need to understand better and more that my movement, the trans movement, the LGBT movement, can no longer be a moral or effective movement. And I believe it has to be both. I believe we have an obligation to fight, and I believe we have an obligation to win. Effectiveness is important, but it has to be a moral movement. And in order to be a moral movement and an effective movement, we have to understand we're a transgender movement and an LGBT movement. But we have to be a pro-immigrant movement, an anti-racist movement, an anti-poverty movement, a pro-woman movement, a pro-worker movement, a pro-religious freedom movement, a pro-journalism movement. We have to be fighting for justice. And sometimes we forget that. We as trans people, me as a trans person, often sometimes forget this. In 2001, I was visiting with the Senate Minority Leader in Pennsylvania, who was a fairly liberal Democrat. And he wouldn't do what we wanted him to do. We were trying to get transgender people put into an LGBT hate crimes bill. And he said, no, we'll lose all the Democrats' votes. Punchline, by the way, 6 weeks later, we won it with all of the Democratic votes and 13 Republican votes. But he wouldn't do it at first, and he said no, and then he pulled me aside as the only trans person who was there that day in our delegation. He said, but Mara, look at the bright side. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have let you in my office. And that's harsh, but it's true. And I know that, I own that now, and I have that in my heart, and I know how far we've come in those 15 or 20 years. And I know that we have to think about that. We have to think about how far we're coming, and sometimes we as trans people, we as LGBT people, we as people on the left, I am all of those things, and sometimes we are becoming a little more tribal than I would like us to be. Sometimes we are demanding that people understand us from the start, that they know all of our shibboleths, all of our code words, all of our dogma, and we are relentlessly unforgiving when they do not. That is not helpful, that is not just, and it is something that I do want to work on, because those people, they're trying to be my people. And even if they're not, I've got to try to make them my people. We're sometimes less welcoming than we should be with the exactness and purity of our dogma and our words. I was with my mom a couple of weeks ago in a nursing home in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and my mom has dementia. And there was somebody who was there, and this kid said, this adult said, she was asked, I got it wrong, the kid said, "What's wrong with Grandpa?" And the woman said, "He's what we call senile." And a teenager said, "We don't say senile, we say they have dementia." Okay, that's actually correct. I mean, these days we do say dementia, not senile. But where my mother came from, even when I was coming up, we said Grandpa was senile. That wasn't the main point. The main point was, here is your relative. Here is my mom in this place. My mom has dementia. She does not know who I am, but I know who she is. And I don't care, honestly, if you say that she's senile or she has dementia, as long as you understand she's my mom, and I want to protect her. I see homeless people, and I don't know a homeless person. I don't know if they have PTSD. I don't know if they have schizophrenia. I don't know what it is that if they're just unlucky that they're there, or if they're a victim of abuse. But I need to understand that what the thing is there is that they're a human being who's homeless. And the words, the reasons have to be a lot less important to me. I have to support them all. I have to serve them all. I love saying this, my favorite Bengali poet, I only know one Bengali poet, and only about 3 poets. But my favorite Bengali poet, Rabindranath Tagore, who, by the way, was a Unitarian Universalist, said something which is really important to me in guiding my work. "I slept and dreamed that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy." I am so fortunate that I get to serve transgender people, that I get to serve justice. I'm not good at it all the time, and I want to try to get better. I try to act, learn, act better, learn, act better. But I always try to serve. And I don't know how anybody could fail to notice the miracle that all of us are, the people who I don't like, the people who attack me. Deplorable Mike of the Twitter feed. Don't look him up, by the way. I changed it slightly. It was deplorable something else. But boy, it's a miracle that Deplorable Mike is on the planet. It is for all of us. We are all so amazingly lucky that we get to have the experiences we have. Some of us get much better experiences than other people. Some of us, our experiences are hell almost our whole lives, and I get that, but it is still a miracle that we are here. It is a miracle that we can sense things and feel things and have consciousness and can love each other. All of that is really, really a miracle. And I know that about my people and you people and those people. I know that about everybody. I was fortunate when I was in my early 20s to have a boss who let me use his car when he was out of town. And I was 19 or 20 years old, and he had the biggest BMW there was. It was called a 733. And there weren't a lot of BMWs on the road. And I noticed when I drove his car, when you pulled up to a stoplight and there was another BMW, people would go. And my friends and I, as we spent all of our time driving around in my boss's nice car, we would look for other BMWs so we could go. And then we would laugh because we thought it was so hysterical. But here's what I'd like. I'd like to start thinking about, when I see people, understanding the miracle that they are, understanding that they either are my people or could be my people. I want to look at everybody and just go, I want to recognize that you're a miracle, that it is so lucky that you're here, and that I am so lucky I'm here, and that I also am so lucky that you're here, and that you are lucky I'm here. If I can do that better, If I can get other people to do that, there's not going to be those people anymore. There's just going to be us people, and that's going to be super amazing. I am so thankful for being here, and